Hello, this is Rebecca, and today we're going to go over some of the basics of the software Spinitron. Since Raven Radio's web streaming has become more popular, we are now required to submit quarterly reports of everything we're playing on the air to an organization called Sound Exchange. And they deal with the royalties that go out to the various artists. So for just a 2-week block every quarter, we're going to be keeping track of the music we play on our volunteer music shows. We'll be doing this on into the future, so just because you might not have a show during our first reporting period doesn't mean you'll be able to avoid it for long, so you might as well learn how it works. And it shouldn't be too difficult. Hopefully this software Spinitron will make it a little bit easier. This software is made up of a database of music. And so the hope is that much of what you're going to play already exists in the database. And if it's not, you'll enter it in manually, and so you'll have to be keeping track of the songs that you're playing. So you can do this after your show. So during our reporting period, you'll want to schedule a 10 or 15 extra minutes after your show to enter in your playlist. So we'll go through this process now, and hopefully it will all become clear. So Spinitron.com is where you're going to find the beginning of our playlist and our member login. So we'll go there and log in really quickly. For volunteers, everybody's login is going to be the same. You'll go to station is KCAW. Our email address will be kcawraven@gmail.com, and the password will be raven352. Go down here to log on. I don't need to remember this for now. So I'm going to select new playlist to create the playlist for the show that I just did. And it doesn't matter if you're subbing for a show or if this is your regular weekly show. You'll just go through the same process for the show that you did. So let's say that I did a show today. I just did it this morning, so I'm going to go ahead and select after the show. And it will default to today's date, which is February 3rd. So I'm going to say, yeah, I just did this show this morning. So that's the date. And I'm going to select that I filled in for the Good Day Show with Taylor. And for the timestamps, that's going to be the time that your songs that you are entering into this playlist are said to have begun. I'm going to go ahead and leave this on manual since I'm going to be making this after my show. And I'll go ahead and hit submit. So now we are in the screen where we can begin to create our playlist, and you can see behind me here I have Spotify up, and this is the show that I did for this purpose anyway. And if you are someone who uses other output sources, either your laptop, your iTunes, or even CDs and vinyl, what you'll have to do is just either keep your playlist on iTunes or keep a detailed account of what you played during your show if you're using CDs and vinyl. So for this first song, I'm going to have my Spotify playlist in the background here. And you can see my first song is There She Goes by The Laws. So coming back over here, I'm going to start typing in The Laws. And you'll see a bunch of stuff come up, and here's what I want. It will start listing all of the songs that The Laws have done. I'm going to just go ahead and start typing in There She Goes. There it is. And it was from the album The Laws. And you don't have to worry about composer unless that's something that goes along with the show that you're doing. Sometimes it wants to auto-populate that. If it knows the composer, then that's fine, but it's not something that you necessarily have to put in there unless it really goes with the music that you're playing. So that's my first song. I'm going to say that because the Good Day Show starts at 9:06, that my first song started at 9:06. And if I click anywhere else, it will automatically say when that song will end. Since this was a song that it knew of in its database, it will go ahead and say that it's a 2-minute and 42-second song, which we can see up here is actually the case. It knows the record label, and I'll go down here and say the format of the music was an MP3. Everything on Spotify can be put in under MP3. The type was an album, and we'll go ahead and say that this was a rock song, and I will hit submit. So there you go. That's the first entry into our playlist for this particular show. Now, let's say I didn't know, well, let's go ahead and put in a couple more just to get this ball rolling, and we'll cover this as we go. So the next one is Built to Spill. Here it is. The song was Center of the Universe. So as I start typing it in, it brings it up and it knows what album it was on. So great. There's the cover, there's the label. Obviously, if you don't, if you're having to put in a song that does not exist in the database, you don't have to worry about the cover. That's just something that it pulls up automatically for us. It also knows the date or the length of the song here. It started when the previous song ended, so it will automatically do that for you. I'm going to say it's an MP3. I'm going to say it's an album, and because this one knew its genre, I'm going to leave that there. And go ahead and hit Submit. Now let's say I played a couple songs and I had a little air break. So I went on and said, you know, good morning to everybody on my show and said what we just played. So I'm going to add this set break note right here. Click this button and click OK. And you'll see that it says that 11 a.m. I started my set break. Now when I go in to enter my next song, it will not automatically say how long my set break was. So what I'll have to do is when I start typing in here, Southern culture on the skids, it's going to bring this up. I'm going to say the song I played was Camel Walk, and the disc was Dirt Track Date. There's the label. Now I'm going to say that my set break was 4 minutes, so I'm just going to go ahead and round this up to 9:15, and you can click anywhere and it will automatically update this. I'll say the format was MP3, the album was an album, and the genre was rock, and I'll hit Submit. So now if you come along here to a song, let's see, I think maybe this next song by Beck doesn't exist in the database. So as I start typing this in, oh, it does. It is going to bring this up, but it only has one song under Beck for their database. So I'm going to go ahead and say my song. I'm going to type it in manually. It's called Beer Can. And the album here is Mellow Gold, so I'm going to write that in manually. And the song is 4 minutes, so I'm going to go down here and change this to 4 minutes. And the label, now if I'm using Spotify, the way to find the label is to go over here and click on the name of the album. And then down here all the way at the bottom, it says Geffen Records. So I can go ahead and type in here and there you go. Once again, adding the format, the type, and we'll call this rock as well. And I'm going to go ahead and submit that. So there you go. Pretty straightforward. I think that should at least get you started. This is going to be a learning curve for everyone, myself included, as we go through this process. So I'm sure as things get figured out, we'll be getting back in touch with everybody to let you know what tweaks need to be made. It is important that this information is accurate and filled in completely. So unfortunately, as much as I would love to say this is optional, it is not. So thank you so much for bearing with me, and please, of course, always let me know if you have any questions, and hopefully this all made sense. So the last thing, let's say I've created my entire playlist and this is done. The last thing I would do is say close playlist. And there you go. You can email it to yourself or whatever. You can just log off. If you're here at the station and you're using one of our computers here at the sound station outside of the air room, you can just go ahead and leave this logged in. So anyway, I hope that this is fairly straightforward and easy to understand. Thank you so much, and we will talk to you soon.